Hey guys, so we've got some good news to talk about. Obviously, the first good news is that the computer, my new computer, is back in my possession and up and running, and I'm probably at about 70% of where I need to be as far as downloading software and updates and things like that. But it is up and running, and what's nice is besides the repair to the hard drive that I needed to have done, it was just a swap out under warranty, is that I finally also installed an extra SSD for all the Adobe software tools, so I have a nice little SSD for Photoshop editing and Adobe Premiere video editing for GameRaveTV. Um, you know you have missed your computer when the words "I am so glad to see Outlook once again" comes out of your mouth after having to use Mail on my laptop for a while. So besides the good news of the PC coming back to me and being set up so I can finally do GameRaveTV stuff again, I had a really important announcement that I already shared with my Patreon members. And I know if you watch a lot of YouTubers who have the background that I do, what I'm about to say is going to sound bizarre. And that is, after 3 to 4 successful years of Patreon, I no longer need Patreon. And I will be closing the content creator side of it down and reverting it back to a supporter account. So I wanted to talk about that just a little bit because we live in crazy times, and I figured I would at least give my 2 cents on the situation from my perspective, while not bashing any other content creators. That seems to be the norm these days. When I opened my Patreon account years ago, I was in a very interesting time in my life, both personally and socially, and just life in general. I was actually, right before I opened the Patreon account, I was actually shopping for a place to live, because the location I was at was being sold, and I couldn't stay there. So with the help of selling off some of my Nintendo collection, turns out NES games are worth a lot of money depending on what you have. I had sold off a bunch of my collection, and I was able to get the down payment on this condo. The problem is that at the time, and I can't remember what the term was, whatever type of sale this condo was, it involved extra financials and extra time and so forth. So I had to basically unceremoniously move into my parents' basement at the age of 37 for a couple of months while all the situations and paperwork and banking options and, what do they call those things? Not research, not reviews, inspections had to be taken care of. And with all my money being poured into getting set up for the mortgage and everything, I didn't have that money to improve GameRaveTV. Like, if you're a newcomer to the series, to the channel, in the videos, like, go back, I think it was season 2 or 3. Well, it's definitely season 1. But when I originally started this channel, I was using, I think, an 8 megapixel like Canon camera. It was like this big, and I had an SD card for the file saving, and it was an awful resolution. I was using directly using the video and editing, trying to edit into Adobe Effects, After Effects, which was like horrible. And by opening the Patreon account and having just amazing pledges and patrons, I was able over the years to not only get a better camera through the phone, obviously, we got better lighting equipment. We were able to do green screen episodes, which I want to get back to as soon as I can figure out where to put stuff, because it's being used as a storage device right now. We were able to buy the parts and pay for the labor to create the adapter we needed to get the PlayStation back online, opening a browser not included. Just all this crazy stuff that was happening was because of my patrons. Like, I could never thank them enough for that. And I promised when I first opened my Patreon account that it would never ever be used for personal matters. It was only for the validation, to make sure I was actually doing something worth people's time and money, and to improve the channel. Now, over the last 2 years, since I've actually been here in the condo for almost 5 years now, but over the last 2 years, 2 to 3 years, a lot of crazy things happened, and one of them is the city taxes got messed up, and I've actually never shared this before, but the mortgage went up by almost over $100, and while that was going on, I was technically living paycheck to paycheck. Like, there was a few days a month when ramen was the meal of the day, and during those times, I never once touched Patreon because I refused to. I didn't want to be that person. But the positive side in the present day is that it turns out if you overpay on your mortgage every month, even when it was at the super high level, and you do really, really good things at your job that you're at, one, your mortgage hits a certain threshold where you don't need a certain type of insurance anymore, and it significantly drops. And then on the same month that your mortgage significantly drops, it turns out you got a really good raise at your job because they love what you do. With those two financial things in place now, the money I never had to keep paying for things I use on GameRaveTV, including the Adobe software, the hosting for the site, I now can afford that, and I can actually afford all of that and still have money left over for plenty of food to eat and, you know, pay the electricity bill that I need to run Mass Effect all day. And to paraphrase the infamous Batman meme, you either die a YouTuber or you live just long enough to become an e-beggar. And realizing I no longer needed the Patreon and it was basically just going to be fluff money, I didn't want to be the person that was using your money to buy games or my personal collection. I believe in using Patreon for what it was originally intended for, which was to help support your business and not pay for your lifestyle. And I know that's a really unpopular opinion in you know, personal belief in the modern times of, we'll just say, other YouTubers, but I would really like to leave on a high note because A, I no longer need the validation because I know you guys are here. Like, in the last year alone, the validation I was looking for that was originally coming from the patrons is now coming from multiple sources. I've been blessed with helping the Video Game Preservation Society archive, like, the online CD, a bunch of rare demos. Dizzy, if you're watching this, I will get back to you, I swear. I actually have a stack of demos, and I'm going to help them out with the TurboGrafx stuff too, to help preserve. And I've been given the chance twice now to help promote the releases of unreleased games with Superman and Aeon Flux, and I never had that chance before. And being given those chances is all the validation I needed. And now that I can financially support the hobby as well as myself and still have some money left over, I don't want people's money anymore. I can take care of myself. And if you're not a patron, the original post version of this on patreon.com is I actually asked my patrons to feel free to drop or remove their pledges from me and give it to other content creators, be it YouTube, comics, movies, whatever, that they feel are worthy of that validation. For those of you who didn't know or didn't catch the video, we had actually also used the Patreon funds to do this really cool physical gift, where we basically created a light span homework assignment kit that had actual light span discs, the actual homework assignments and things like that, and that was really cool. As a final send-off before I close the account, all of the active members right now will also be getting a music CD of Ken's music that you guys hear at the beginning and ending of the videos, along with two other little personal, I guess, mementos, if you will, once they come in. One's still en route from China, and the other one is actually good to go, but I can't send them all until I have everything in place. So that being said, and somewhere I just earned 3 cents royalties, Alan. Um, I want to be the person to say Patreon in and of itself is not a bad thing. It can be a beautiful, and I use this term a lot, but validating thing that if you use it for what it's designed for, it can actually help make you a better content creator. And when you get to the point that you don't need that help anymore, you can set it free to help others. When I opened the account, I had no intentions of ever thinking I could live off of it. In fact, I think the whole angle of people trying to live off of Patreon, and for that sake, like YouTube, AdSense, and so forth, there's no, what's the word? Not guilt. There's no, not greed. This is why I write scripts, because I can't think of words off the top of my head right away. There's no animosity or jealousy towards content creators who are living off their Patreons or their AdSense. If I could live off Google AdSense, I would do it. But there's this weird thing going on lately where, and I never thought of myself as an e-beggar. I hope no one thought I was an e-beggar because of my Patreon account. But there are people who are clearly abusing what Patreon was meant for, and to a degree, coffee and other things like that. And those are the ones that are ruining the purpose. They are the LGN games on the Nintendo system of Patreon. Like, it's a good thing and it has good deeds, but there's always going to be those sour notes in the mix. So yeah, the good news is I don't need my Patreon anymore. And I don't want to say I feel liberated, because that would come off as me thinking I was locked to my patrons, and it never was. I had one of the best small communities on Patreon could ever experience in any social community, including old school message boards and Slack and all that good stuff. The next good news is a lot of the things that I learned, both from mistakes or what was successful on Patreon, I will be moving to YouTube's community page. The polls are doing really well. I'll hopefully be able to start using it as updates for the site, so that way if you guys don't visit GameRave.com all the time, you can just see the alert on YouTube to see what I've added page-wise or any edits I've made, and things like that. The next set of good news is that I'm not closing my Patreon account. I'm reverting it back to a supporter account, because I believe in paying things forward, both literally and figuratively. And a lot of the people I will be supporting are people that both deserve it and could use it, like the Video Game Preservation Society. There's a fantastic artist who's unfortunately no longer on Patreon, but I'm supplying them through coffee. There are several YouTube channels that I love and support. And as an aside, if you guys have kids and you go to restaurants a lot, if they give your kids the crayons with the coloring pages, take the crayons with you. And if you don't use them outside of the restaurant, there's this amazing charity called the Crayon Initiative, and they basically take all those old crayons, melt them down, and turn them into brand new crayons to give to kids in need that help support creative endeavors. For years ago, when I was still doing my kids book, The Boy with the Dreaming Key, on iBooks, if you ever want to check it out, I had done a coloring kit set for a convention, and I had literally about 400 packs of crayons left over. I'm going to be putting them in a box and donating them all to them so they can reuse them into brand new crayons. And I love the thought of seeing a kid who can't afford crayons just getting a fresh batch of crayons given to them so they can start drawing and so forth. Yeah, I'm rambling a lot. But yeah, so that being said, trademark, I'm not going anywhere. The channel is growing exponentially. As I said, I am so grateful for the chance to bring you guys the early access on the prototypes. I'm finally getting around into a groove with Living History Project and doing the reviews and getting things done. I have like 3 games I could already do pause mode episodes for, but everything kept coming up on the PlayStation side. And yeah, in in a world of YouTube where there is just constant bickering back and forth between creators and accusations and blocked comments and stuff like that, I wanted to be the one person that just said everything's cool, everything's okay, there's stuff to do. So that being said, I use that term way too much. I'm going to edit this, get on YouTube for you guys to see, start doing tests on Premiere and Illustrator and Photoshop so I can get back in the groove again with the site. I have never been so happy to see a piece of computer tech in my life than this poor thing. All right, guys. I will see you next episode, hopefully soon. There actually will be another VHS archive tape coming too. Take care, guys. Thank you so much.